last talk, and given the topic of my talk, I should start from a point of vulnerability here. I can't wait for this to get over, so as you guys, we can all get back to our mingling. So I run customer support and operations here at Quantcast. And why do I qualify and why am I here talking about this? Growing up in India, when you're somebody who's a straight A student or academically focused, you're kind of placed at a pedestal, and you always make your parents proud. And so it doesn't matter if you're a loner out there. I never realized that I was a shy loner kid. So imagine my surprise when, after I completed my software engineering degree, computer science, and went for my first job as a software engineer, in my first half-yearly performance review, when your boss goes through all the great 10 things you did, but that one area of development that you always think about, he actually asked me, "So are you an introvert? I never see you, walking around the desks of your colleagues or chatting up with them, and you actually don't even talk much in team meetings." And I'm like, am I supposed to talk much in team meetings? Well, I'm new. Should I not be listening more? But that was honestly the first time I realized that my personality did have a part to play, in my career. And fast forward several years, now as I parent to, really sensitive kids who, are often called shy and quiet, I grapple with this thought on a daily basis, like, how do I raise confident young adults who, can accept themselves as what they are, but at the same time also has this growth mindset. And so today I'm going to go through, some of my learnings as I've navigated my career, and hopefully as I share my story, you guys can pick up some tidbits here. So one of my first experiences when I became a new manager, I attended a new manager leadership training, and the instructor actually asked me, and actually the class, to write down your word cloud. What it meant was, what are the qualities that you look in a leader that you want to yourself emulate. And when I wrote that down, how this helped me is I kind of became sure of what I wanted to be, where I want to go. And so I stopped actually feeling bad about traits when I saw in other people that I didn't actually have. And so I think this helped me because the first step for me was to understand what I wanted to be, and then everything else became easier. I just had to go get it, right? So as Gandhi says, you need to be the change you want to be, but then you need to understand what that change is. Actually, before I talk about personality inventory, I'll share the story. There was another incident that was a big learning point for me. I was in a really big meeting with my colleagues, my boss was there, and my boss's boss was there, and we were discussing this solution, in an implementation solution. It was a complex solution, and the person presenting the solution, kept going on, and I didn't necessarily agree with that idea, but being who I was, I decided not to really, call her out in front of everybody, and decided to kind of go, one-on-one later and talk to her about, why I thought this was not a good idea. But when I did that, she actually accused me of being indecisive. She said, "Why did you agree with me in the first place?" And I was really taken aback. I'm like, really? Did I even agree with you? It actually gave me a couple of sleepless nights. And at that point, what I didn't realize, which I realized a little later, was that it wasn't that she was accusing me. It was that my lack of speaking up or lack of objection in that meeting was actually taken as agreement by her. And it was only because, we have had different ways of processing information. So fast forward in the same manager training, they made me take this Myers-Briggs personality test, or there's the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram, kind of the same type of personality test. And my original thought with these was, these kind of pigeonhole you into specific categories, and it's like, do I have to choose between being a compassionate person like Mother Teresa or being a leader like Martin Luther King? Why can't I be both, right? But being a good student that I was, I kind of went with the flow. And what I understood was this wasn't labeling me in a particular bracket, but it was really understanding, how I communicated and how can I become a better communicator with my coworkers and my teammates and kind of others in my circle of influence. But that's what it is, right? That's basically all this personality inventory is. So this, going back to that example, this person, the way she processed was she would talk and think while she's talking, while how I processed was I would think and then talk. Like I would have these long, awkward pauses, but she would keep going on and on. And what I realized and actually learned through this process was, I need to just find a pause and then ask clarifying questions, and that's kind of how I would better communicate with her. Now, to contrast that is the growth mindset. I read this really great statement that's made a big impact on me about this contrast theory, right? The growth mindset actually tells you that do you accept yourself the way you are, or do you actually try to be more than what you are, and constantly evolve and constantly grow? Bear with me for a minute. I want to actually give you guys an example that I read that again made a lot of sense to me, and this is about the metal industry and how do they rate the hardness of metals. They rate them from a scale of 1 to 10 from a hardness perspective. So like a diamond is a 10 and a tin is a 1. A copper is a 3. So a tin is the softest and copper is a 3. Now, tin and copper are not found in the same vicinity at all. They're like found in a completely different vicinity. Somebody decided to take tin and copper and combine them. You would actually think that would call that would be an average, so its hardness would be a 2. But no, combining tin and copper gives you bronze, which is a 6. So this is what happens, and it's actually called the contrast theory that creates this unique, magical combination. And that's how our personality traits are. I mean, you could be way over here as an introverted, shy person, or you could be way over here, an aggressive, type A sales guy. I work with sales guys a lot in this job, so I can pull on them a little bit. But if you combine, and while you're right here, try to get a little bit of this side, you can be unstoppable. So, you could be an engineer surrounded by a lot of shy engineers. Try to get more communicator skills, public speaking skills, or even skills to make other people feel special, and you'll just be going places. This is what Sheryl Sandberg says in her book Lean In. Always sit at the table, don't take side seats. And it was really important for somebody like me who had a very soft voice when I was in meetings. And, if I wanted to say something, I would think. And, by the time, sometimes the time's already gone to speak. But when you're in that center stage, people can actually see your body language that you want to say and can actually give you a way in. So I started showing up in, some important meetings where I would know there are a lot of people, before time, so I could get the right seat. What this also did was, when somebody disagreed with you, they actually had to look in your eyes and do that. I hate conflict. I don't like that one bit. But when I think of some of the biggest innovative solutions or breakthroughs I've been part of, they've usually been through a lot of intense, even wrenching conflict. And I've learned to put myself in those situations. Put your ideas out there, let it be beaten up, and you will learn something great through it. Beth Comstock, who's a leader I really admire, she's the ex-vice chair and CMO of GE, where I was previously before Quantcast, said this: conflict is the primary engine of creativity and innovation. And I've learned to accept that, and however hard that is, kind of let that in once in a while. One other principle I grew up with was, you do your karma and don't worry about the results. Other way of actually putting that is, you can actually outwork anybody else, you can out-prepare anybody else, and that's kind of what I try to do. I try to be double prepared and triple prepared when I know it's kind of my chance to do things that are uncomfortable. Also, when I used to get really flustered when I would be put in a position by someone or in a spot by someone where I had to give quick responses or make decisions quickly. And what I learned through, and this is actually a mentor of mine who helped me through this and coached me through this, is it's okay to ask for more time. It's okay to say that I'm going to need 24 hours. I need to sleep through this. I need to think through this, and there's no shame in doing that. Don't let anybody else put you on spot and make you give answers that you're not ready to give. Okay, so let's bring it all together. Find out what you want and just go for that. Always take a seat at the table, not the side seats. Always be prepared, but if you're not, there's no shame in asking for more time. Find a yang to your yin. This is something, again, I've done when I've hosted large events or large meetings. Find somebody who is, you can complement your quiet, thoughtful personality to, somebody's upbeat and funny and loud. It just makes things easier. I don't go to a social gathering where there are too many strangers, without my husband who's a talker, so there's no awkward silent movements. Though he sometimes forgets when he's talking that I'm even around, but that's a different topic. Right. And lastly, I think if you remember that all human beings are really at the core alike. I mean, we all like to be respected, and we want to perform in our jobs and want to be heard and listened to. So I think when you remember that, I think everything else is just smaller. That's it. Thank you.